Okay, I'm so over the moon about today's guest because, first of all, I'm a huge fan of hers and it's so incredible that she's here on Seeing Other People. But second of all, there is so much for you guys to learn from Aleeza Ben Shalom. Aleeza, welcome to Seeing Other People.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to meet your audience and everybody and to connect.
They're gonna love you as much as I do. For those who don't know Aleeza, okay, you're so many things. You're a matchmaker, you are a coach, you are most known, I'd say, for Jewish matchmaking on Netflix. And so exciting, you also have a book, Matchmaker, Find Me a Love That Lasts, coming out this December. And guys, I did get a sneak preview, and everybody is going to need to go pre-order it literally right this second. Where can they find that?
So you can go to my website, which is marriagemindedmentor.com/book. We'll put it in show notes.
Yep.
Sorry that it's so long.
Amazing. But guys, I'm so excited for this book. I'm so excited for Aleeza to be here. I have to ask though, first, before we get into any of this, you're married.
Yes.
How did you and your husband meet?
So we met 22 years ago. Our wedding anniversary is coming up in the fall, and it'll be 22 years. We met at a Jewish singles retreat. We went away. It was like this Jewish spiritual retreat. It looked like something awesome. I'm like, cool, I want to go. And I wasn't really looking for my person as much as I was looking for a reconnection with myself. I had a lot that was going on in my personal life and with some family and health issues and different things that were happening. And I was like, I just need a break. I need to like plug in and recharge. And I went there for that. And I came away with that and a date with my now husband.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that first date that you went on, or like your first interaction with him? Would you ever have guessed that you'd end up here married 22 years later?
Well, no. So, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, first time he's my dream person. He's my like typical stereotype guy that I would like, that's like the man that I'm drawn to. But when we went out, it was a nice date. He had like asked me out. He's like, you want to go out? You want to like get a cup of coffee, whatever. Starbucks was closed. It was late. It was after a Shabbat on a Saturday night. And he's like, well, just go for a walk. And I was like, okay, let's go for a walk. And it just like kind of naturally evolved. At the end of the date, he's like, okay, bye, have a good night. And I'm like,
oh, hi.
Right. My mind is now going 1,000 miles an hour. Bye, have a good night. Bye, I like you. Bye, I don't like you. Bye, I want to see you. Bye, I don't want to see you. Bye, I'm going to call you. Bye, I'm not going to call you. Like, I don't know what bye means. All bye means is like, bye, it's over. And I just don't know what's coming next. So in my head, I was like, oh, well, I guess he doesn't like me. Maybe I'm a little too much for him. Okay. Right. And I kind of went on my merry way. And like 2 days later, he called and he's like, hi, how are you doing? I'm like, good. How are you? Like, this is literally the most awkward conversation. He's like, good. How was your weekend? And I was like, good. It was one of my answers.
You're like, is he calling to like remind me that it's over?
Right. I was like, you don't like me, so like it's okay. And I don't know, maybe we talked for 7 minutes if we're lucky. And he's like, okay, bye.
Oh my God.
I'm like, bye. you know? And midweek, the rabbi, so he was in a Jewish community in Philadelphia, and his rabbi, who was also his best friend, called me and he's like, hey, how are you doing? And I'm like, good. He's like, want to come to one of my classes? And I was like, sure, rabbi. Okay. He's like, do you want to go on a date with Gershon? And I was like, what? I was like, I already did. I don't think he likes me. He's like, no, he does. And I was like, no, I went out with him twice. I'm pretty sure he's not interested. No, that's why I'm calling. And I'm like, listen, I'm the matchmaker. I'm the dating and relationship coach. I'm the one that intuitively had a lot of this even before we started. And I missed the boat on this. And he's like, no, he would like to go out with you. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
I like missed it. I missed the cues. I missed the signals. I missed something.
Well, either you missed it or he wasn't giving it.
He said that he was really nervous and he was like, oh my gosh, this is my wife. And I was like, I wasn't thinking, oh my gosh, this is my husband. I just was thinking this is like a really great date. Like I was thinking, look, we both are more observant now and we grew up secular. And I was thinking, wow, I would have even dated him when he was secular. Like, you're my kind of person. Doesn't matter, who you became. You were who you were. You are who you are. I like everything. And apparently he was thinking the same thing, but he was nervous. So that's what came through. And I would have, if I didn't have this rabbi matchmaker in
Yeah.
between to translate the he likes you, I might have totally missed this. I might have
Well,
really missed it.
that's, I think, the beauty and the best, or one of the best things about matchmaking is this happens all the time.
Right.
This happens so often where, and now with like texting and social media, you have to read between 1,000 lines and so much just gets lost where you might both really like each other and just never see each other again because you think, oh, well, like they took a little too long to respond, or somebody didn't continue the conversation and they were both waiting for the other one to give a sign, and then it just floats away into the abyss.
Right. That's so, so right. And that matchmaker is like the translator, especially for early in the relationship when you're just not exactly sure what's going on. They kind of give you a little bit of an inside scoop and you're like, oh, really? That's what they think? Oh, okay. Like sometimes it works. It just works. It vibes. You don't need as much support or whatever. And after we got through the first couple dates, everything flew. We, not to freak anybody out, but like we got engaged after 3 weeks.
Wait,
He'll
I'm
tell
sorry.
you,
What?
he'll tell you too, but it was 3. And we got married 4 months later, and we're coming up on our we got married in 22nd wedding anniversary. We're married 21 years, almost 22, and 5 kids, and an international move. Like,
You
yeah,
got engaged after 3 weeks.
yeah, yeah. I don't recommend it. Nobody else should do that. Not unless like that's your custom of your community. Like, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, I'll preface it by saying I had a job as a summer camp overnight counselor. I was going away for the summer for 2 months, and I was like, oh, we could date long distance, whatever. Like, but like, I know, like, I'm in, I'm clear. Like, I don't. It never happened that way before, but I was crystal clear. Like, you're my person. Like, we can get engaged now. We can wait. Like, whatever you want. But like, if you're waiting for me, then you're not waiting. And he was like, oh, like speechless. Like, what do you respond to that? I basically like proposed without proposing accidentally.
You're
But
like, I'm asking you to propose to me or
like
not.
I'm clear.
You
You're my
could.
person. I'm good. I'm good. Whenever you want to do it, we can wait. You need to wait. We're waiting for you though. We're not waiting for me. Just to be crystal clear, we're waiting for you.
What made you so sure so early on that he was your person?
So the big thing that I now know that I can identify, because back then it probably would have been really hard for me to articulate and be very clear about it. But the main thing that I know now is that our values were aligned, our personalities were aligned, our life goals were in line. And in addition to those things, we all come into our relationships with different fears and like previous traumas, whatever it is. Parents got divorced. We had a horrible relationship, a bad breakup. Somebody cheated on us or ghosted us or whatever it is. We have insecurities. We have these things going on inside. So everybody has their fears. And my goal is that your partner is not going to trigger that to a high degree, right? Like, you're going to have a fear. It's going to be triggered, but it's totally manageable. It's not somebody that's constantly triggering you because of who you are, because of who they are. And it's just not manageable. So we figured out that like, that was totally manageable. Like, our values aligned, our personalities aligned, our fears are only triggered to a totally manageable level. And then also what I call bothers, like those things that irritate you about the other person. So sometimes, the guy that like winks at you and is like, and you're like, oh, cringe, right? I can't handle that,
Mhm.
right? Okay, well, that person's not for you, but somebody else is probably going to marry him, and that won't be a bother for them. So there's also specific things about the other person. This is all a part of soulmate clarity. And basically in my head, I go through this like mental checklist, which now I have a system for, that we were like aligned, like everything was fitting into alignment. And if it wasn't exactly in alignment, it was acceptable. It was within a range that worked. And then it was like, okay, there's like no potential deal breakers, like nothing. There's no red flags. There's no like what ifs. There's no like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
not so sure. It just was working. And it's almost like, when you get into a flow, whether it's with a podcast, work, something, there's like a groove, right? So
Yeah.
we were in flow, and I was like, wow, that like never happened before, never. And I don't know if it's ever going to happen again, but that is happening right now. And that's my person. Okay, whatever. We'll get engaged and married whenever that's supposed to be. Like, I'm ready. Like, I'm in. If it all makes sense. And I was clearly marriage minded, and not that I was rushing, but I had become more observant. And so it's not totally abnormal to do that. Although my parents definitely were freaked out because that was a little fast for how I was raised. But thank God, 21, almost 22 years later, here to tell the happy tale and share the blessings.
That's incredible. And I think there's so much to be said about when it feels right. And like you said, like there was a flow and all of these things of like you were having these conversations clearly about what you
Yes.
wanted and what was important to you and what your fears were. And people are so afraid to do that because they think expressing what they want is going to scare the other person away, or sharing what they're afraid of is going to be too much for that other person. But if they're your person, it won't be. It'll be just right. Or they will embrace those things about you, or they will be so excited that you share the same vision for the future. And that's why it's so important to have those big conversations.
Right. There was one other thing that I have to add in because this is one of my big pieces of advice. And when I tell this story, I don't usually include this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, duh, this is like what I should say. And it just came to me now. So one of my pieces of advice is this 5-date challenge. And
I was going to ask if you did that
okay,
with
right.
him.
So one of the parts of the 5-date challenge is no touching for 5 dates. Okay. Now, it comes from Judaism, where we talk about no touching until you get married at all. Nothing, not a handshake, not a pat on the back, not a kiss, hello, mwah, mwah on the cheek, nothing. So that's where it came from. And I didn't just try the 5-date challenge. We did not touch until we got married. So it's like, mazel tov, husband and wife, yay! And he held my hand and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm melting. Like, he held my hand, right? So I got married without touching the person that I was going to marry. So I had to actually really like the human being that I was with, because I was getting no other input physically. That wasn't influencing my decision. So I knew that I was grounded in making a decision based on who he was, not on how he made me feel when I was physically with him.
For somebody who's hearing about your 5-date challenge for the first time, I imagine they have many questions, as did I when I first heard about it. I heard you, I was listening to you talk on another podcast about it, and you were actually saying that the guys like it too, which is very shocking.
Okay.
Tell us more.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm so glad you heard other interviews. So here's what the men say to me. They have told me, Aleeza, if I like her, I won't touch her for 5 dates. He goes, I'll one up it. I won't touch her for 10 dates. I'll even do 20. I'm like, whoa. He's like, but if I like her, I like her. I said, yeah, but you guys are always pushing the envelope because you always want something else also. And he's like, yeah, but if I like her, I like her. And if those are her values, I respect that. And I respect somebody who has values. And I'm like, you can't win either way, right? If we touch, you don't respect me, right? And if we don't touch, you're going to dump me. That's the general feeling that women get, right? And they're like, well, no, if you say that your value, by the way, this is important, ladies, whether you do or don't follow any of these rules, this is important, okay? If you say to a man, here's my boundaries, right? No touching for the first 5 dates, or we're only going to kiss but not do anything else. I don't know, whatever you make up your rule, okay? And then you don't uphold your rule because he's going to test you and you're going to test you. When you break your rule, he immediately loses respect for you, because if you can't hold yourself to your own rules, then he knows that you can't hold him to being a better person either.
Yeah, like your word loses all of its meaning if you
and
say
it's not
that.
just a word. Like he knows you have something that's important to you. You said whatever you said is your value. I only want to do this, or this is what works for me. And you break it again. He knows that you can't help him to become a better person, because when he says something's his word and he breaks it, you're not going to help him stand up because you can't even do it for yourself. So the
Mhm.
men told me, they're like, I have so much respect. If she sets a boundary, follow the boundary. If I like her, I'm going to stick with her. If I don't like her, it doesn't matter whether I'm physically with her or not. It's not convincing me. And even if it convinces me for 1 date or 2 dates or 5 dates or 5 months, I'm eventually going to dump her because I'm really not interested. I'm just passing the time. So what I
Mhm.
know about the 5 date challenge, and I've had this Jewish, non-Jewish clients, I've had people from all over the world tell me they've tested this. And the women tell the men, they're like, listen, we're going to try this. And the guys are like, okay. They're like, I learned it from this dating coach, Aleeza, blah, blah, blah. So they say, okay. He's like, okay, I'll try it. And when they make it past 5 dates, we all know that they both actually like each other. Because who's sticking around for 6 dates if I don't like
True.
you? If you're not putting out, I'm not coming out to see you.
Right.
So it's almost like extreme dating, right? Like it's like Love is Blind. I
Mhm.
don't even see this. You can see them, but like, I don't even see you in Love is Blind. And I'm going to pick you to marry you based on who you are, how you speak, how we vibe and connect. And it's a real, true, incredible thing. And then the physical chemistry and all of that can be worked on and grow later. But if I don't like you, so I'm not going to stick with you anyway. Who wants to waste their time? I mean, unless you're just dating and fooling around, go have fun. Call me later. But if you're marriage minded, date
What
marriage.
would you say if a client came to you and they were like, "No, I actually like I need to, you know, be physical, be intimate, sleep with somebody in the first few dates to figure out if that chemistry is there, otherwise I'm wasting my time." What if they came to you and said that?
I just say do it in the reverse order. Like, if you don't like the human being that's there, who cares if you like their body? Are you going to marry them just for their body when your values don't align? You're not. But if your
Mhm.
values align and then you introduce physical intimacy, first of all, the physical intimacy, if when physical intimacy comes first, it's not rooted in anything. It's just out there. Okay. When I like you and you like me, we have a foundation. Oh, now we introduce physical intimacy. Oh, now that means something, right? Physical
Yeah.
intimacy before then doesn't mean anything. So good, you vibe. Good for you. How many people would you like to physically be with before you find your real partner? And also, it leaves you with all those memories. So eventually, you're going to find your partner after you slept with how many people? 2, 5, 10, 200? Like,
Mhm.
you need that when you're with your life partner to be thinking that I had something better before physically, even though I didn't like the person, but wow, that felt better. Like, it's just unnecessary data and information to run around in your head while you're laying in your bed.
True. Facts. Yeah, and I actually think one of the coolest parts about it is, like, for me, I really wanted to make sure I was comfortable with somebody. So, like, yeah, there would be times where I would go back to somebody's apartment or like have someone over to my apartment because we didn't want the night to end, but I would point blank say, like, before we walk into the building, I would say, "You can come up or I'll come up, but we're not having sex." And if they ever tried to, then I know that they don't value my boundaries. I know that they don't care about what's important to me. And it was a great filter for who actually gives a shit and who just wants to sleep with me.
Yeah. Yeah. And because you held to it, it worked. The problem is that that's dangerous because not everybody can hold to it. They say that
Right.
downstairs, and when they get upstairs,
Right.
oh, just can't resist.
Right. Well, that was the thing. If for me, it was almost like it wasn't a test, but it was like, oh, well, if they don't respect this, then that's not the person I want to
Right.
be
If
with.
they don't respect this, then I
Yeah,
don't respect
then
you.
I don't. Right, exactly, exactly. Okay, another one of your philosophies, or what do we want to call it?
Aleeza.
Aleeza-isms. Yeah, Aleeza-isms. Another Aleeza-ism that this one I actually really like. So I feel like there are so many people, if you scroll on social media, especially in like the dating world of TikTok and Instagram, a lot of people have the philosophy, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Your philosophy is, if you don't hate them, date them. And I agree, but I want to hear your perspective and why this came to be. Why should people continue even if they're not sure yet how they feel about somebody?
So you just said it in a different way, and I like it better. If you don't hate them, date them. But I say date them till you hate them. But
Oh,
you
oh my
just
god.
no, 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 but you're so right. If you don't hate them, date them, right? If I don't hate you, so I'm going to date you. Mine is just date them till you hate them, which is like
You know?
short, sweet, and to the point. But yours is more accurate because people are like, you want me to hate him? And I'm like, no, it's just a sweet way of saying if you don't hate
All
him,
right,
date
well, let's rewrite the book.
I'm gonna rewrite it. I'm gonna rewrite the whole thing. I'm gonna be like, it's not date him till you hate him. It's if you don't hate him,
It's
date
hate
him.
him, date him.
But that's really what it means. So thank you, because I'm going to use that forevermore going forward, and it will be heard here first.
Love
Date
it.
him till you hate him never means you should hate somebody. It only means that if you don't hate him, if it's not a hard hell no, then it's a
We'll see.
we'll see. And it basically goes, well, I don't want to marry you, but like whatever, I guess I'll go out again. And then you go out again and you're like, and maybe you have a good date, maybe an okay date, maybe a bad, right? It roams around, and then you're like, and then they call you to ask you out again, and you're like, I don't want to go. Why do I have to go? Okay, are you done? Is it 100% no? And some people are like, no, well, it's like 99%. I'm like, then what's the 1%? Go out again. And they're like, no, it's not really. I don't want to say no. I feel bad. Well, stop feeling bad. Just say no, thank you. It's not for me. And I know why, because I know me and I know you, and this doesn't work for me. And that's okay. We get to choose what we like. Everybody picks their flavor of ice cream. Everybody picks their favorite food. Everybody picks their favorite person that they want to marry. So it's okay to say no, because by saying no to you, you say yes to the right person. You open up the world. When you close some doors, right? Others will open.
Yeah. And in terms of the like feeling guilty about saying no, well, you're also allowing them to move forward to find their person who will like them for all of the things that you don't like them for.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's also really key.
What do you find is the biggest challenge that singles are facing when it comes to finding a love that lasts?
I think we have two big issues. Number one, we do not have enough healthy, happy role models. Who wants to get married? Divorce rates over 50%. Oh, 50-50. Want to play your odds? Let's get married, right? You might end up divorced. It's not like a happy statistic. And now let's take the 50% that are married, that stay married. How many are happily married? The numbers aren't so pretty either, right? So I'm not discouraging marriage by any means. I'm going to be one of your happy role models, okay? I love being married. I love having a life partner. I love building a life and figuring out all the challenges, stresses, and blessings that come along with it. My in-laws, his parents, have been married for over 60 years. They're coming up, I think, on 63. They'll kill me if I got that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 63. And my mom passed away, but my parents were married almost 40 years. Like, I have seen happy, healthy, long-term relationships. And healthy also means happy, sometimes sad, sometimes up and down. Relationships have normal things. So number one, we don't have enough positive role models. So we don't even know what to aspire to. Like, who should I look to when I go, I want that. I want a marriage. That's important to me because that makes sense. That's number one. The second thing is the whole world is literally open to us. I can date anyone from any time zone in any location that I want. So I can be online at 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. and I can find myself a date. And it feels like this is amazing. I have so many options, which puts us into analysis paralysis, where we are just frozen and we can't make a decision. B, it's unrealistic. When everything is open to me, really nothing is open to me, because everything doesn't work. Again, with food, right? Not every food works for me. Not every exercise I want to do works for me, right? Not every line of work works for me. There's things that work and things that don't. But when the options look like there's thousands or millions, it's like, why should I settle? And we often really just overlook what's right in front of us. The people that we see every day, the people that we're connected to, the people that actually like us back, as opposed to like the mystical, magical human that exists in, 7 hours away from us. That's like not really realistic. And also we're busy chasing our dreams of who we want to be. And everybody has a job that they want. Like, I am going to become this. But nobody sits and dreams about, when I grow up, I want to get married and I'm going to have a family and it's going to be wonderful. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? How many people say, I want to be married? I want to have a spouse. I think I might have been the only one in the last 50 years that like said something like that. Like I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I actually had no career aspirations. I had no clue what I wanted to be or do. I just wanted to get married and build a family. Those were the two most important things to me. Get married, find my life partner, build my family. Boom, that's it. Everything else I had to figure out on the road.
I mean, that's how it should be for people who want that. I think that should be what you're working towards. You should always be having that in mind and thinking about, well, what do I need to do to better myself for the right partner so that I could be my best self in a relationship, so that I could be my best self as a parent, so that I can, feel like my best when I do meet that right person. And we get so caught up in all the things along the way, the school, the job, the apartment, the promotion, the friend group. Like
Right.
there's so much distraction from that. And then I have so many friends who are turning 30 and they're still single, or not still, they're single, and they are freaking out about it. And I know there's this stat out there, and I'm not going to try and guess it because I'm going to botch it, but it's like at a certain age, it's either like 30 or 35, you've already met like X number of potential
Yes.
life partners.
Yes.
Like we're so focused on all these other things, and we're like, well, I haven't met the right person, or I haven't found the one, or
Right.
this or that excuse. But there could have been so many people along the way where if you had your eyes open and you were doing the work, maybe it could have worked.
Right. So I had a woman, and this is like date them till you hate them, or what did you say? But if you don't
You
hate
don't
them, date
hate
them. If
them.
you don't hate them, date them. So she's in her 70s, and she went out with a guy who her friends recommended. They played Matchmaker and said, "Meet our friend. You guys will go out." And she had a nice time, but like he didn't live up to her, expectations of what she maybe thought she wanted. And she's like, I don't think I'm going to give him another chance. And then she's like, oh, I watched Jewish Matchmaking. I saw Aleeza's show on Netflix. She said that thing. What was it? Date him till you hate him. You know what? I don't hate him. I think I'm going to just date him. That's what she said. So I get the updates. Okay?
Yes.
I get the update. They went out again. They went out 5 times. She actually now likes him. So this was a relative of mine that told me this whole story, and he goes, "Well, that's my cousin, And he said, "Listen, that's my cousin, and do you want to talk to her?" And I said, "Oh, I want to talk to the lady. Put me in touch." And I said to her, "Listen, I gotta know. Date him till you hate him. It's not just a mindset. What did you do to get over it? Not just that he was a good person, whatever." She said, "Well, look, we're older, right? This is not our first rodeo." And he's not exactly, the look that I was expecting. I said, "What did you do?" She said, I said to him, "Can I see some like photos from before? Can I
No way.
like, let me see let's see family. Let's see growing up. Let's see this." And do you know what she said to herself? She's so smart. She's brilliant. She said, "Would I have dated him in my 20s? Would I have been attracted to him in my 20s? Would I have married him in my 20s?" And she goes, "I
Wow.
would have definitely dated him in my 20s. And if I had, this is who I would have ended up today. I'm going to keep going out." It like, I get chills
That's
as I say,
brilliant.
what an unbelievable tool and mind shift to say, wow, I would have connected then. I do connect now. It just isn't the package I was expecting now. But like, it's fine. I'm like, oh, she's like, I don't even, I'm like so over it. She's like, we all have these images in our head of what we want. She's like, it's just not even relevant anymore because how I feel when I'm with him, the way that he treats me, the way that he cares for me is golden. Golden.
Yeah.
He's such a gem. And I was able to realize all of this, see it, and get beyond it. And that was my tool. And I was like, I'm telling the world. This is the first time I've told somebody, by the way.
Seriously. Oh my God. Oh my
This,
God. You guys heard it here
just in,
first.
hot
So
off the presses. I fell in love with her. I was like, "I love you. I'm calling you back in 6 months. I want to know what the story is."
everyone needs to hear that story because we're so quick to write people off. Too tall, too short. Like, I'm not into blondes, or I really want somebody with blue eyes and this person has brown eyes. It's like that has nothing to do with the type of person they are and how they would treat you.
Right. But look, it has to be in a range of what works. I'm going to fight on behalf of the people like, but I like what I like. It has to physically be in the range of what works, because who wants to be with somebody when it doesn't actually work? Like, that's not going to feel good. Nobody's going to like that. It's going to be like icky.
Totally. But I also think, and to your point of 5-date challenge and date until you hate them, that
Yeah.
can grow. The attraction can grow once you figure out what's inside and learn who the human is.
Right. Right. And I've learned, like, as I have grown over the years, and I've seen so many people go through this process, and sometimes we see introductions and people meet and they're like, yeah. And I was like, look, I know, like, I've had the conversation. They're like, oh, he or she, it's a redhead, not my favorite. And I'm like, they're amazing humans. I'm on fighting on behalf of redheads of the world. Like, they are amazing humans. It might not be your favorite, look, style, color, but like, this is a really great human. And if you can just see past that just for a minute, give your brain, a break and see the human, there's probably potential that exists there that you don't want to own up to. People are like, oh yeah, but I don't want to learn to like them because like I didn't initially like them. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, good. Ruin it for yourself. Ruin it. You can have a great life with this human being.
All of my single Jewish friends, when I talk to them about like why they can't find dates with anybody, it's like, oh, well, all their dating apps are set to like 6 foot and above. And I'm like, okay, well, there's your problem. And they're like, okay, fine, I'll go to like 5'10". I'm like, no. Keep going, like keep going down a little further. And these girls are like 4'11", 5'1".
Oh, right. So, okay, I'm going to speak on behalf because I'm 5 feet and
Oh,
like half
let's
a
hear
inch,
it.
not
Okay.
half a foot, half an inch, like 5 foot, not really 5'1", even though my license says 5'1". So, first of all, I'm so sorry. But if men are like 5'11" and above, leave them for the really tall girls. Okay. Unless you like madly fall in love, don't chase them. It's just like, let them have a few. Okay. It's harder for the tall girls. Okay. That's number one.
Mhm.
Number two, you're going to find some really high quality humans between the range of 5'6", even 5'4", but I know that's going to make you crazy, but 5'6" and 5'9", like really great humans. And if they're 5'5",
Yeah.
I bet they sparkle even more. And if they're
'Cause
5'4",
they're getting overlooked.
I am just telling you, gem beyond a gem. Just lower the height a little, and your standard and quality of human is going to go up. Sorry for the men that are tall. You're probably great too, but people are going to pick you just because you're tall. It's kind of like, pretty girls. Like, that's just going to go
Mhm.
based on criteria. We won't know if you're really quality, but there's so many people, like you said, that are overlooked and
Yeah.
are gems of a human. I had one woman, and she's like, also, she wanted somebody 6 feet. She was like, I don't even think she was 4'11". I think she was 4'9.5", 4'10", something tiny, such a petite, cute little
I'm
thing.
like, that would hurt my neck.
I know. So she ended up marrying a guy that's like 5'4". She said he had everything on my list except the height. And I said, oh, thank God, because you're so tiny. It's
Yeah.
such a beautiful match, first of all. And second of all, to be honest, just in a physical sense, the physical matchup is very nice when you are physically compatible, actually. And we don't have to talk more about that, but you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yeah. No, I mean, one of my good friends, she was so adamant about like her type is tall. Her type is tall. She can't date a short guy. And like again, this friend in particular is 4'11", and she ended up meeting this guy who's maybe 5'7", 5'8". They've now been dating for almost a year. They are very much in love, and she actually just went to a wedding with him, and she said it was the first time she wore 5-inch heels with him, and he's still taller than she is in 5-inch heels, and she's like, okay, this works. Like, I'm glad I gave it a try. I'm like, yeah, duh. Like, there are certain things that you're doing yourself a disservice by not giving people a chance because of
Well, also,
XYZ
I've seen
physical.
couples same height. She puts on
Yeah.
heels. She's 2 or 3 inches taller than he is,
And
and
that's
he's
okay.
self-secure, confident. And he's like, I don't really care. I think
Yes.
she's gorgeous and amazing.
Yep.
And if she can walk around feeling all confident and wonderful, she's going to have a very loving, fabulous human.
Absolutely. Question for you as a matchmaker, but also as a Jewish person. Where do you stand on soulmates?
Ooh, I totally believe in them. But okay, it goes like this. I have rules and Aleeza isms about everything. So everybody has a soulmate, but not just one soulmate, but you only get one at a time. Taking a step back, you get married. That's how you make a soulmate. I pick you. I said no to everybody else in the world, just you. You, me, boom, we get married. Soulmate. Yay. Divorce, God forbid somebody passes away. Okay, soulmate, the soul has left this world. Okay. So we are now just physically and spiritually separated. Go with me, whether you do or don't believe in a higher power, whatever. Okay. But once that's severed, you are like a free soul, like a free radical. You're a free soul. You can pair up again. You get married again. Boom! You made another soulmate. So how many soulmates will you have in a lifetime? How many times would you like to be married? That's how it
Mhm.
works. And for people that are like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Like, I found my soulmate, but I lost them. And I was like, well, did you marry them? They're like, no, but we talked about it, but they were my soulmate. I was like, no, they were your potential soulmate in Aleeza language. They were only your soulmate if you made them your soulmate. Soul is this spiritual thing, mate, life partner in this time. So if we
Mhm.
choose to unite and be married in this lifetime, then you're my partner, you're my soulmate. But if we don't choose to do that and we just date and we just try it on for size, okay, so we're not soulmates, we're just potential
Mates.
soulmates.
Yeah. So I like that there's an aspect of choice in this versus the idea that at one point your souls were together and then you were both born in different bodies and your life is about like finding that person and reuniting your souls. That is something that I personally have always had a hard time wrapping my head around because how in this world of like almost 8 billion people could that logistically be possible?
So, well, first of all, I'm assuming that you feel like you found your soulmate. Yeah.
I did well, I
Or you
yeah,
got married, you made them your
yes
soulmate.
and no. I got married. Yes, exactly. I found the person that I wanted to spend my life with and made him my soulmate.
Right. Right. So I do believe in free will and free choice. And we make that choice to make somebody our soulmate, but we literally wake up every morning and choose it again. Because if I don't
Yeah.
choose it again, we're divorced. Right.
Mhm.
Every single day I am choosing that you are my soulmate. You were my soulmate, you are my soulmate, you will be my soulmate, right? Because I
Mhm.
keep making that choice over and over again. And there is this divine concept that there's this other part of your soul, but it's not the only option. Like there's maybe like a hierarchy of who could help you to be your best self, but we
Mhm.
but we totally have free will and we get to pick who we want to pick. Which is why, going back to the 5 date challenge of not touching, we want to pick a human that is going to be a great choice for us for a lifetime. So the physical part, yeah, you could test and take that for a ride later. It's a whole nother
Mhm.
story. But like, make sure you like the human being. There's like a lot of life decisions that you will forever have to make together that will be really difficult. And also, people that get divorced don't say, oh my gosh, physically it's amazing, or physically it's horrible, but inside they're amazing. Let's get divorced, right? They say,
Mhm.
like, physically it's amazing, but I don't like who they are. They treat me like garbage. I want to get divorced. So, like, the physical compatibility is really, it's just not necessary data unless you're my person. I don't
Right,
need
that's
to
not
know.
gonna tell you how you're going to get through a hard time or how you're going to make a big life choice that's gonna impact your family.
Right,
That doesn't tell you how you're going to be as partners.
right, exactly.
Yeah. For people who are dating and are struggling to decide, could this person be my soulmate? Is this person quote unquote marriage material? What advice would you give them on helping them figure that out, whether it's super early on or they've been dating somebody for a while and they're still not sure?
So, first of all, I would talk about timelines just in general. Like, okay, I'm marriage minded. I want to get married. What is that timeline? What does that look like? And are we on a similar timeline? There was a couple that went out and they were compatible. Things were wonderful and they had actually been dating for 4 years. And she was like, "Okay, so like it's time. Like we need to just get married." And he's like, "Yeah, no, I don't we don't need to rush into anything." And she was like, "Rush?" Like rush into anything? And I had a conversation with her and I said, listen, this isn't a case because I don't really believe in ultimatums and like choose, pick me or not and move on. But it is a case where you probably need to say to him, listen, I'm looking to get married and I'm looking to build a family. And our timelines don't seem to be compatible. So, like, I need to move on. I love you and I care for you. And if our timelines worked, I would marry you tomorrow. But it's not really compatible for us. So it's not even an ultimatum. It's just, I know who you are, I know who I am, and we're not compatible with our timeline. So I need to step out and find somebody who's compatible with me.
Which, quick aside, I think the Netflix show The Ultimatum would really benefit from bringing you on.
I know we need to. I really need to talk to them because
Yeah.
I have watched it and it really irritates me. But it's
Yeah.
supposed to. I mean, it gets views.
That's what it's there for.
Yeah. So besides the timeline, we do have to make sure that our values are really aligned. Who am I? Like, who was I? Do you understand me? Who am I? Do you know how similar or different I am from who I was? And who do I want to be? Who do we as a relationship want to be? Where do we want to go? And are we heading in a similar direction? And are we moving at a similar speed? If we're heading in a similar direction and moving at a similar speed, great. Somebody's usually ahead, somebody's behind. Getting that timeline doesn't always work out perfectly. But if we're not even heading in the same direction and I'm going one way and you're going the other way, who cares if our timelines are aligned? Like, again, the values, the personalities, the life goals, who you as a couple want to be when you grow up, what you want to do, what kind of a family you want to build. If you want to build a family, if you want to travel the world, what do you want to do with your life? What's going to bring you meaning? Do you have this shared relationship vision? Yes? Amazing. Go for it. Similar timeline? Great. Now we're really heading in the right direction. Or like, I just don't know enough about you, so let's keep dating. I need to learn more. And what do I need to know about you based on what I know about me? Right? Because we're always comparing you to me. Some people, by the way, just a little side note, some people make a mistake. They date two people at once and they compare this one to that one. Who's better? Who cares who's better? Who's better for you?
For you.
Who's better matched to you? That I care about, because who's better than each other? Who cares? They both might be wrong for you. It's only relevant who's better for me, who's better with me, who's going to make me a better person, who can I make a better person? That's the right way to ask that question.
Yeah. And there's a million micro decisions you make along the way and little questions and conversations you have in order to figure out these things, in order to get this data so that you can then make a decision.
Right. Exactly.
I have one question and then we're going to close out, which is very sad because I'm loving this conversation, but everyone's going to have to just get your book and you'll come back.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
A lot of my listeners have been reaching out to me that they're finding themselves stuck at this like 2 to 3 date range with somebody where they can't get past that. After 2 or 3 dates, they are always hit with the not feeling a connection, like anti-ghost text. What would you say to them in terms of like evaluating what might be going wrong or what isn't working and course correcting so that they can develop deeper connections and get past that 2 to 3 date mark with somebody?
Okay, so it's assuming that this could have been something, but for the fact that
Yes, like it seems like they're getting stuck where like they want to
they want
continue
it to
seeing these
continue.
people.
Okay.
Yes, and these people don't. And this is something like that's been in my DMs like a lot lately
Okay.
from multiple
Okay.
people.
Okay, so two things. One, it really could just be the wrong person and the other person figured it out sooner than you. It's really possible. Basically, the whole world is wrong for you, but for that person that you married, that's right. Everybody else is not for you. So we're supposed to have like a 99% fail rate. So if it's always going wrong, that's kind of doing dating right. But what's not going right? So if they're not feeling the connection, I'm going to do a translation. Either it means I'm not attracted to you, and they don't want to physically say that I'm not physically attracted to you. I don't like your personality. So like, you have a personality, it's yours, you can't change it, but I don't like it. I don't connect to it. I don't think we have the same values. So like, I don't see a future with you. Maybe you're not entertaining or enjoyable enough. Maybe you're negative, or you put yourself down, or you don't exude self-confidence. I've heard that a lot. Maybe I don't think that you'll make me a better person. This is like a little subconscious where they just think like, you're not going to be able to like lift me up to be who I need to be. And I can't do that for you. There's kind of a lot of things under the surface, but if we go to practical tips and skills of things that you'll need to shift the experience. So number one, just simple, smiling. When you smile at me, I think that you're happy and I think that you're looking at me. So I might be the cause of that happiness, and that brings me joy and that brings you joy, and it just feels more joyful. So even smiling, even if I don't like you, even if I never want to see you again, it takes it up in my mind that you're somebody that's like, oh, there's something nice there. At least she's a good person, a happy person. And even if you're not for me, I might recommend you to my friend. So being a better dater is helpful in that way. leaning in, as simple as like literally physically leaning your body in, showing that you're interested, right? Like that, right? Instead of like sitting
Mhm.
back, having your arms crossed, arms on your head, like a closed posture, or like such an open posture where you're like sitting, draping your arms like you're taking up all the conversation. Like, we say either heart to heart. So like physically, if we're facing each other, my heart should be facing your heart as opposed to my body
Mhm.
language turning where my heart is facing one way and you're facing me. So heart to heart or toe to toe. If your toes are facing, that's another physical thing, or eye to eye. Those things are all really helpful because it shows interest and it shows with your physical body language that you have interest. And if you notice that they're turning away, that might be a signal that they're not doing on
Mhm.
purpose, by the way, because they didn't listen to this podcast, but they might
Send it to
not.
them.
They might subconsciously not have interest. And if that happens, don't freak out. Play a game. And the game is, can you entice them to engage them to get them to be like heart to heart? I remember as a child, I used to carpool and go to school. And my mom would drop me off to a friend's house, and then her mom would drive the rest of the way. And I don't know what the situation was. She must have had a horrible, horrible life because she was a miserable human. And she would get in the car and be like, and she'd like stare in the rear view mirror the whole ride, like with this look. And I
Mhm.
said to my mom, I'm like, it's terrible. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go with
Don't
her.
make me go.
And she's like, I need this carpool. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And she goes, smile. Just smile and say hello. And don't let her negative energy affect yours. Don't take on her mood because she's doing that. Don't you do that. Just respond with a smile. Hi, how are you? Hope you have a nice day. Bye. And be pleasant. I'm telling you, by the end of that year, I think she started to smile at me. Like,
Wow. Did the impossible,
but
but
like,
it works.
right. And the whole purpose of it is not that I'm trying to convince or entice or whatever. I want to have a good time. I want to help you to have a good time. Even if I don't like you as a life partner, or if I have some interest, if you don't like me back, that's also okay. But maybe you're going to recommend me to a friend because everybody can make a match, right?
Yep. Everybody
So
can. Everybody should.
everybody should. This is
Mhm.
not professional. You don't have to go into it like it's a job. Everybody should have the hobby of setting somebody up. You should make a match suggestion either once a week or once a month. That's my challenge. You pick once a week or once a month, make a match suggestion. So it's either 12 or 54 times in a year. The world will be a better place and we will have more success if you do that.
I love it so, so much. Final question. First thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
What is the best piece of dating or relationship advice you've ever received or have to give?
Oh my
I
gosh.
know.
First thing that comes to my mind. The best piece of advice is be yourself, but be the best version of yourself. So I remember once a client said something like, well, that's just me. Like, take me as I am. I am who I am. And I was like, oh, no, like cringe, right? Like, I'm like, oh, like, no, don't just be yourself. Be the best version of yourself as often as you can. In life, we want to do that anyway, but even more so in dating. And I've had people say, but it's not for real because I'm not going to be like that always. I'm going to slip. Yeah, we're all going to slip. But what is the best version of yourself? That needs to show up on a date more often, no matter who or what the other human being is, no matter, like, I came into a date once and he was driving and it was the worst driving that I've ever had in my entire
Oh,
life.
no.
I was like clutching onto the side of the car and I was like,
Yeah, like holding the thing on
God,
the top.
God, if you get me out of this alive, anything, name your price. Like, and I was so desperate. I was like, God, please make the police pull us over. It's okay. I'll go to the jail for a night. I don't care. Just get me out of this car. I can't take it. Right. So, and he was trying to be his best self, but it just really wasn't a good driving experience. And I was also trying to be very graceful in that moment. Maybe you want to slow down, But anyway, show up today. Be your best self, and somebody will appreciate and value who you are, even if they don't choose you or pick you. Again, they might refer you to a friend or to a coworker, and they might make a match for you because you authentically showed up as you and the best version of you. And that's all we can ask. That's all we can ask for.
I love it. Aleeza, I'm so obsessed with you, with everything we've talked about. Thank you so, so much for being here. Where can everybody find you?
Okay, so the easy thing is just going to my name, AleezaBenShalom.com. It's going to forward you to my real website is marriagemindedmentor.com, because hey, I'm marriage minded, you're marriage minded, and I want to mentor you. I want to support you through this process. So marriagemindedmentor.com. And please, it would be my honor if you checked out Matchmaker and got yourself a copy. And maybe we'll meet, because I come touring all over the states. I'm going to be in
Yes.
probably, I usually end up in the big cities a lot and the other cities as well, but like New York and Miami and LA, I hit those, harder. Maybe we can collab and do something. I don't know. We'll
Oh,
keep you updated.
would be a dream.
Yeah, but like I'll sign the copy. Like just hunt me down on the street. We'll play Where's Waldo? Where's Aleeza?
Where's Aleeza? I
Most
love
people, they don't
it.
even want an autograph. They want a photograph,
Want a
They're like, no,
photo.
I just
Yep.
want to say I met you. So I
Yep.
love meeting people. I love getting to know people. I love inspiring people. If you hear anything and you actually do it and it works, you should write to me. Please write to me. Find me on Instagram at Aleeza Ben Shalom. Find me on any social media, and just tell me your story. I love the stories.
You're incredible. Guys, get the book. Pre-order the book. It's coming out in December. It is going to change your life. And spread the matchmaking love. Make matches. Set your people up. Makes the world a better place. Aleeza, thank you so much.